It's funny how a single phone call can split your entire life clean down the middle. Before it, everything feels vaguely stable. After it, nothing makes sense anymore. My name's Elora. I'm 30. And the night everything changed. I was halfway through folding my scrubs after a double shift, just basking in that delirious half-awake happiness that comes when you know you've finally made it through something hard. I was still riding the high of getting approved for my own house, the house. My quiet lakeside safe haven I'd dreamed about since my early 20s. And then the phone rang. At first, I thought it was spam, a known number, local area code. I nearly let it go to voicemail. I wish I had. The woman on the other end spoke like every kindly grandmother in every storybook, warm, sugar-sweet, just a tiny bit nosy. Elora, dear, this is Mrs. Alden from across the lake. I believe you're the new owner of the gray house with the shutters? My heart pinged, all proud. Yes, that's me. A pause, then softly, oh, love, I think there's been a mistake. Now, the way she said that, it was the kind of tone nurses like me recognize instantly. The one people use before they tell you bad news they wish they didn't have to. What do you mean, mistake? Well, she said carefully, there's quite a lot of activity there tonight. Lights, cars, music, people on the porch. At first I laughed. Oh, that must be the estate agent, maybe staging photos or something. I don't think so, dear. The tall man keeps saying things like our new place and finally home. She hesitated. He looks just like that picture you have on your Facebook. The one of you and your brother at Christmas? Same smile. And just like that, my blood ran cold. Hold on. My brother, Jason, didn't even know where the new house was. I'd been so careful. I hadn't breathed a word. Years of being the helpful sister had trained me to protect every private dream like a fox protecting her last cub. If Jason knew, it meant someone told him, and in my family, someone almost always meant mom. I opened the security app on my phone. My thumb hovered a second. That quiet instinct whispering, don't look. But I did, and the moment the picture came up, I swear my knees almost gave out. Music, laughter, balloons, people bustling around my brand new living room like it was community property. My niece and nephew jumping on the sofa I hadn't even sat on yet. And in the middle, Jason, waving a beer, saying something I couldn't quite hear but could imagine, the same overconfident, charming nothingness he'd been getting away with since kindergarten. I zoomed in just in time to see my sister-in-law Sarah loop her hand through his arm and laugh like she was queen of the lake. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. You know what the worst part was? That tiny second before the anger, when the sadness hits first. Like the world folds in on itself because these are your people doing it. For 30 solid years, my family had written the same script. Jason shines. Elora cleans up after him. He gets praise for potential. I get lectures about practicality. The only reason I'd kept the lakehouse secret was because I knew down to my bones they'd ruin it somehow. But I hadn't imagined this. I called Mom, straight to voicemail. Then Dad. Nothing. I sat there watching Jason pull corks from wine bottles, but hook knows where, toasting God knows hat, inside my house written in my name. And every memory of those small humiliations twined together, a rope ready to snap. I thought of myself at 16, quietly saving birthday money while my parents borrowed it for Jason's leadership camp. The time Dad cosigned for his convertible but laughed when I asked for help with tuition. Every favor asked of me, every just for now that became forever. And I finally said it out loud, just to the dark sides of my apartment. Not this time. The nurse in me kicked in then. No more feelings. Just procedure. Step 1, diagnose. Step 2, treat. I called the police. Calm, factual, almost clinical. There are intruders in my residence, I said. There are people I know, but they don't have permission to be there. By the time the officers arrived, I'd beaten myself there, documents folder hugged to my chest like armor. From the street, you could still hear the music pulsing through those beautiful windows. Jason opened the door with an easy grin that vanished the second he saw the flashing lights. Evening, officers. Must be some sort of mix-up family gathering. And that's when I stepped forward. No, it's not. You've never seen confidence evaporate so fast. My parents froze behind him, mid-toast. Mom's smile slid right off her face as if gravity had just remembered it existed. Officers, I said, this is my property. I handed over the deed, my driver's license, the mortgage contract. My hand didn't shake once. The silence that followed was delicious in a bitter way, like dark chocolate made from pure indignation. When the officer finally said, "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to gather your things and leave," Jason's mouth actually fell open. The entire neighborhood watched as our family's dirty secrets spilled onto the driveway. Sarah clutched her designer purse like someone might snatch it. Mom started crying those soft, performative sobs that used to melt me every time. Not anymore. By the time their cars pulled away, I stood in the glow of my own porch light, heart thudding. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt wrecked. Because beneath the righteous victory, the truth pulsed cruelly. They never loved me beyond what I could give them. Morning wasn't kinder. At a.m., Mom's novel-length text came through, a masterpiece of guilt and melodrama. How I'd traumatized the children, humiliated Jason. How a house couldn't replace family. I read every word, numb and furious in equal measure. Then Sarah's message popped up. "You're pathetic. Enjoy your lonely palace," followed by Aunt Carol's righteous decree that I had brought shame on everyone. I didn't even reply. But that afternoon, things got worse. A certified letter slid under my door. A cease and desist. Jason claiming I'd stolen his down payment and defrauded him. $50,000 he'd entrusted to me for a joint investment. I laughed so hard I almost scared myself. The audacity was next to evil. But underneath the hysterical laughter was panic. Because lies like that don't stay small, they grow claws. I found a lawyer, Margaret Walsh, calm as a glacier, sharp as broken glass. I dumped everything on her desk: receipts, bank statements, the video of Jason's party, the text messages. She listened in stunned silence, then said, "Well, Miss Parker, this is one for the textbooks. Let's go to war." For 3 solid days, I built a paper fortress. 10 years of hospital paychecks, savings transfers, expense logs. Every line showed the truth. Not one mystery cash deposit. Not one gift. Just sweat, caffeine, and stubbornness. Watching the footage again nearly killed me. But I did it, time-stomping every smug lie, every backhanded comment about me being too simple for big responsibilities. I saved it all to a flash drive like a soldier loading bullets. When court day came, my stomach was doing Olympic acrobatics. Jason looked like he'd stepped out of some cheap advert for confidence expensive suit. Fake calm, Sarah whispering behind her lawyer's shoulder. My parents sat stiffly, avoiding my eyes. It was almost funny, the way they'd all dressed up the lie like a Sunday service. Jason told his story first, spinning it like gold. The judge nodded politely, as though humoring a child describing an imaginary friend. Then my lawyer pressed play. The room filled with my brother's voice declaring, "To family, to our new home." The clarity was surgical. Nobody breathed. Even the courthouse aircon seemed to pause. When the judge finally looked up, her voice was like winter. "Mr. Parker, I suggest you cease digging. The more you speak, the deeper this hole will become." By the time her gavel hit, the restraining order was granted. They couldn't come within 500 feet of me or the property. Watching my parents' faces, part disbelief, part wounded pride, hurt more than I expected. But underneath the ache was relief so strong it made my knees weak. Margaret patted my shoulder as we walked outside. "Well done, Elora. Not every victory feels sweet, but it's still victory." She was right. It wasn't sweet. It was quiet, heavy, real. When I unlocked the house again that evening, everything smelled clean. The cleaners had erased every trace of the party. No sticky floors, no perfume ghosts. Just empty space and sun melting across the wood like honey. I walked through slowly, touching things: doorframe, counter, window latch, like greeting old friends I hadn't seen in years. I stood by the big front window looking out at the lake. The water glimmered pale silver. Birds dipped low across it, peaceful and totally uninterested in human dramas. For the first time, I let myself exhale. The silence wasn't lonely anymore. It felt earned. Mom still tries to guilt text me sometimes. Jason's name still gives me a physical twitch when it pops up in conversation. But they can't touch this space, and they can't rewrite the story anymore. Because this one's mine. And if you've ever had to fight for something people said you didn't deserve, if you've ever drawn a hard line and held it, you know exactly what that moment feels like. The calm after you finish your first real act of self-defense. The quiet, trembling peace of freedom. So yeah, that's my story. My messy, heartbreaking, empowering, ridiculous story. If you're still here with me, thank you for listening. Hit subscribe to Revenge Diary, because there are a lot of us out here recovering from the families we thought we had. Share this with someone who needs proof that standing up for yourself isn't cruelty, it's survival. And remember, don't ever let anyone, no matter how close, steal your moment.